And you've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. I didn't come forward because of that judgment and shame that I felt. And it's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not gonna do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Right.
Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. Donald Trump has been found liable for defaming the victim of that rape by a jury. It's been affirmed by a judge.
It was not a criminal court case, number one. Number two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting. And quite frankly, E. Jean Carroll's comments when she did get the judgment, joking about what she was going to buy, it makes it harder for women to come forward when they make a mockery out of rape, when they joke about it.
Doesn't it make it harder for women to come forward when they are defamed by presidential candidates? It makes it harder when other women joke about it, and she's joked about it. I find it offensive. And I also find it offensive that you're trying to shame me with this question. I'm not trying to shame you at all. In fact,
I have dealt with this for 30 years. You know how hard it was to tell my story 5 years ago when they were doing a fetal heartbeat bill and there were no exceptions for rape, incest, or rape or incest in there? I had to tell my story because no other woman was coming forward. No rape victims were represented. And you're trying to shame me this morning.
I'm just asking.
And I find it offensive, and this is why women won't come forward.
Women won't come forward because they're defamed by those who perpetrate rape. Donald Trump
they are judged and they're shamed, and you're trying to shame me this morning. I think it's disgusting.
I'm not shaming you at all.
I told my story. It took me 25 years to tell my story. I was judged for it. I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. This was a civil court. It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
I'm asking you about the man.
But as a rape victim who's been shamed for years now because of her rape, you're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think it's offensive. As a woman, I find it offensive. My political choices, I've endorsed the man that I believe is best for our country. It's not Joe Biden. And you looked at the dueling rallies yesterday in Georgia. Laken Riley's family was with Donald Trump. They weren't with Joe Biden. The same guy yesterday that apologized for calling her killer an illegal, who wasn't illegal. And here you are trying to shame a rape victim. I find it disgusting.
I mean, you keep saying I'm shaming you.
You are. The question, it is.
How is the question asking you about a presidential candidate who's
You're asking a rape victim.
And there's no question about that. And you've courageously talked about that.
Because I've been raped. I think that's disgusting.
No, I'm questioning your political choices because you're supporting someone who's been found liable for rape. Actually, I'm not trying to shame you.
You are. That's exactly what you're doing.
You're not answering the question.
I think it's disgusting.
Well, you're welcome to say that, but you also have to answer the question. Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for rape?
I just answered your question.
What is the answer?
He was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was sexual abuse. It wasn't actually rape, by the way. And E. Jean Carroll joked about all the money she's going to get and made a mockery out of this case. And I think that's offensive. There's a reason why women don't come forward. And when you have someone who says that they're raped and they make a mockery out of this civil court judgment, it's offensive to other women. It makes it harder for other women to come forward when another woman has made a mockery of it.
You said women don't come forward because they are afraid. They are afraid because they're defamed
and shamed
by those
you're trying to shame me this morning.
They are afraid to come forward, as you said, because they are defamed by those who commit the rape. That's what Donald Trump has been found guilty of doing.
He defended himself over that and denies that it ever happened, but he was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was a civil judgment.
So is that the distinction you're making? A civil judgment is okay, but a criminal judgment is not?
This is different, and they didn't even input all of the evidence into the civil case either, because some of the information she provided wasn't even accurate or correct.
If you were wondering what the definition of gaslighting is, it's this. It is Nancy Mace claiming that George Stephanopoulos questioning her endorsement of a rapist is somehow him shaming her for speaking out about her own experience. I'm sorry, but what? Is there any human being on the planet who actually buys the utter bullshit that she's selling here? Let's be clear, it is not shaming Nancy Mace, a rape victim, to ask why she would support a rapist. The fact that she's trying to frame it that way goes to show just how fundamentally dishonest, partisan, and exploitative she actually is. And look, I don't want to say anything out of turn. Everyone's experience is difficult, and every woman who's experienced anything that she's experienced and that E. Jean Carroll have experienced deserves the room to deal with that as she wants. But I feel absolutely justified in saying that what she is doing is not protecting rape survivors, she's hurting them. She's helping elevate to power a proven rapist and avowed sexual predator. She's making sure that he isn't held accountable for the same stuff that she herself claims was so hurtful. She is the reason other women don't come forward, because they feel like in the end that those men always get away with it. And there's no better example of getting away with it than literally becoming the President of the United States. That is what Nancy Mace is helping facilitate. She's helping a rapist become the most powerful person in the world. In fact, she's undermining other women who've experienced this kind of terrible trauma by exploiting the term rape survivor by using it as a shield against people like George who seek to hold those rapists to account. Instead, she's using her traumatic experience to protect those very people. If you put 1,000 survivors in a room, I can guarantee that they would not only agree, but be disgusted by the ways in which she's using her position and her ambition not to hold the rapist to account, but to elevate him to power. Truly, truly heinous stuff. Notice too how the only pushback she can manage is that Trump wasn't convicted in a criminal trial. That's the only bar now? Apparently a jury in a civil trial finding that Trump is a rapist isn't enough. Now it has to be some higher arbitrary standard that she just decided on. I don't know about you, but when Trump admitted to grabbing women by the pussy, that felt like enough to prove who he is and what he did. But apparently, Trump can literally admit to sexual abuse, but so long as he doesn't get criminally convicted, then that's A-okay as far as Nancy Mace is concerned. I'm assuming that she could witness someone commit that act with her own eyes, but hey, they've got to pass until they're convicted in a criminal trial, right? Since that's evidently the only venue where it actually counts as far as Nancy Mace is concerned. Notice too how she always pivots to how E. Jean Carroll reacted after winning her judgment. In other words, Nancy Mace has decided how Carroll deals with her rape isn't valid, and so she doesn't count. All the while, Mace's trauma is the only one that counts, and how she deals with it is the only correct way to deal with it. And that's apparently to endorse a rapist and to try and elevate him to the most powerful job in the world. Talk about someone really stepping up for all survivors. Here's the deal. This word salad by Nancy Mace serves to show one thing. She and Republicans will contract every ounce of their dignity to Donald Trump. They don't care about anything else. They will twist themselves into pretzels, humiliate themselves on national television, contradict themselves, and even exploit abuse survivors if it means they get in his good graces. If it means they can do just one more thing to maybe get a little pat on the head from him. This is a party that exists solely to placate a con man, a fraud, a rapist, a 91-time indicted criminal defendant, a misogynist, and an autocrat. Take everything you've been told about Republicans and their brand and throw it out the window. They're not pro-family values, they're not pro-fiscal responsibility, they're not pro-states' rights or police or constitution or military, they are pro-Donald Trump and nothing more. Nancy Mace might think that she just had some zinger on George Stephanopoulos by pretending to feign outrage, but she knew what she was doing. She relinquished every ounce of her moral high ground the second she opted to become a mouthpiece for the same type of person who attacked her all those years ago. If you're wondering why women don't come forward, it is precisely because people like Nancy Mace make it impossible to do so. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.